Guys, I wanted to jump on here and just say that it really does not look very good for the Trump campaign right now. I mean, he looks like he is toast. Just from a couple of things that we've seen over the weekend, there was this whole debacle with him going to Arlington and taking pictures with the family when they're not really allowed to take campaign photographs and film at Arlington. And then everywhere that JD Vance goes, he's just can't seem to stop stepping in dog shit. And then the numbers for Democrats also just seems to be skyrocketing. So we'll take a look at all of that. But first, this from Alternate News. More than triple checked it. Data experts shocked by new Dem voter registration numbers. The New York Times reporter Francesca Paris earlier this month noted that new voter registration data in Pennsylvania and North Carolina, both are battleground states, proves that Vice President Kamala Harris's candidacy has energized potential Democratic voters. Paris emphasized for nearly the entire year, more people had been registering as Republicans than as Democrats when signing up to vote in two states, which use party registration, and that release this data regularly. We're tracking something really interesting right now. It's a surge in voter registration in key groups ahead of the November election, Garrett said. Among young black women, registration is up more than 175%. Good googly moogly. More than 175% in 13 states. That's compared to the same time in 2020. This, according to the data firm TargetSmart, registration is also increased among young Latinas and black Americans. The data expert replied, "You're right to repeat the number because I had more than triple checked it. It's incredibly unusual to see changes in voter registration that are anywhere close to this. I mean, there might be 175% is almost tripling of registration rates among this specific group. You just don't see that sort of thing happen in elections normally." So the excitement is through the roof for Democratic voters right now, and specifically new Democratic voters, which is what they actually need. So like the party will always have like a set number of people that are always going to come out to vote, and that's usually older people. But what the Democrats actually need in order to win is to turn out new voters. And so to see that big of a jump in new voter registration, that's crazy. And also, you got to remember that, like, if they're just now registering to vote, it means that they definitely intend on voting this election cycle. Whereas people who could have been registered for several elections ago and maybe they're not excited about voting in this particular election, they may not actually vote. So seeing this many people as new registered voters, especially in battleground states, that's huge. And like I said, I'm not ready to pound the gavel. I'm not saying it's over, but the momentum for the Harris campaign is very strong. And again, Trump and JD Vance just can't seem to stay out of the news for all of the wrong reasons. So here, let's take a look at JD Vance being super awkward. This has like just been just this past week.
Good. The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm JD Vance. I'm running for vice president. Good to see you.
Okay.
We're going to do 2 dozen.
Okay.
Yep. And just a random assortment of stuff here. How long have you worked here?
I've been here since the beginning of July
Okay.
for this year.
Okay. Good. How about you, sir?
Almost 2 years.
Okay. Good. How long is it?
Everything.
Just everything, yeah. I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense.
Ma'am, if you don't want to be on film, you're good.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be on film, you're okay.
Okay.
Yeah. How long has this place been around?
About 4 years.
About 4 years? Okay. How long have you been here?
A little over 6 months.
Okay, good.
So the donut shop, that one went viral for all the wrong reasons. Him just going in and like, "Hey, I'm JD Vance. I'm running for vice president." And she goes, "Okay." Like, she either very clearly knows who he is and really doesn't like him and is definitely not voting for Trump and JD Vance, or she's just like does not care at all. he just can't be normal around normal people. And it's funny because you can tell that he could not care less when he's asking them questions. He's like, how long have you worked here? Oh, okay, good. How long have you worked here? Oh, okay, good. And how long has this place been here? Oh, okay, good. Like he doesn't give a shit. And so like the thing that's so funny is that like he's so bad at small talk. He's just bad at being a retail politician, which is kind of what you have to do while you're campaigning. Is like you have to actually go out and meet people and not be a weird clusterfuck of awkward. But it gets worse. He's at a speech at a firefighters union and he gets booed. The same firefighters union, Tim Waltz spoke to them and he got applause. So let's watch real quick.
Thank you so much. Well, Semper Fi, guys. We got some. It sounds like we got some fans and some haters. That's okay. Listen to what I have to say here, and I'll make my pitch. President Trump and I are proud to be the most pro-worker Republican ticket in history, and I want to talk about why we're fighting for working people, why we're going to fight for unions and non-union alike.
I can promise you this. When Vice President Harris and I win this election, we'll have your back just like you've had ours this entire time.
So there again, JD Vance talking to the firefighters, getting booed, just doesn't look good for him. And like I said, he just, everywhere he goes, he can't manage to stop stepping in dog shit. Like he's just not good at being a retail politician. And people genuinely don't like him. And we can take a look at this too with his net favorability. It just goes down and down and down every single week. The more people know about JD Vance, the more they dislike him. And you might say, well, it doesn't matter because he's the vice presidential candidate, right? Like the vice president doesn't actually matter. They're voting for the president. But Trump is not doing too much better, guys. Like, he's in the news for all of the wrong reasons. So you take a look at what happened over the weekend with this Arlington cemetery photography fiasco. And I didn't even realize this, but apparently it's against federal law to do filming or photography in Arlington Cemetery. So Army says Arlington National Cemetery worker was pushed aside by Trump aides. Participants in the August 26th ceremony and the subsequent Section 60 visit were made aware of federal laws, Army regulations, and Department of Defense policies, which clearly prohibit political activities on cemetery grounds, the statement said. Because federal law prohibits Army employees from being involved with any political campaign, the staff at the cemetery did not deal directly with the Trump campaign about his visit. A source familiar with the event said the cemetery staff worked with the staff of Republican Congressman Brian Mast of Florida, who joined Trump at Arlington. Arlington Cemetery staff dealt directly with Mast's chief of staff, James Langendorfer, briefing him extensively on the rules, which include no campaign events at the cemetery. They also reiterated that only an official Arlington National Cemetery photographer and no campaign photographer could be used at Section 60, the location of the recent American war dead. The source and Langendorfer told them the Trump campaign agreed to these rules. So this is obviously bullshit. The whole reason that Trump went to the cemetery and wanted to take photographs with these families and at these grave sites was to politicize what happened with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. The fact that American service members were killed during that withdrawal is awful, but the fact that Trump is using that as a campaign tool to try and say, Biden and Harris did this awful thing with the withdrawal from Afghanistan and they killed those soldiers by doing the withdrawal the way they did is deplorable. It's completely deplorable. And the fact that they can sit there with a straight face and say that he's not politicizing it is laughable. Like, of course this is a political thing. Of course this is a political stunt. Okay? So there's that. And then you have this incident at one of Trump's rallies where he has one of his fans apparently tried to attack members of the press.
Since Kamala and the media don't want to talk about her, that's beautiful. That's okay. No, he's on our side. We get a little itchy that way, huh? No, he's on our side.
Trump is sitting there going on in his speech, and he's like, no, it's okay. He's on our side. He means well. Like, Trump is making the news for all of the wrong reasons. That coupled with JD Vance is totally awkward. I just did a story about how Trump sounded like he was falling asleep during his own rally speech talking about getting a space force for the Army National Guard. Completely ridiculous. Like, his campaign just seems to be stumbling every which way you look at it. And when they attack Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they can't manage to attack them on real policy. So when they attack Kamala Harris, they're going after her for she's black or whatever. Like, they attack her identity for something, or they come up with something even stupider where they say, like, she's communist, which is just, like, I guess definitions don't matter anymore. And when they go to attack Tim Walz, it's even stupider. Like, they're trying to go after Tim Walz over some thing about his dog. I can't even follow it anymore. But it's genuinely because they have nothing to go on. They are desperate. And so, like I said, it's just, it's looking worse and worse. Like, if the election were held today with what we know right now, the new voter registrations going through the roof for Democrats, that's crazy. And especially the demographics that are registering, and also where you're seeing these registrations happening. The down ballot races in some of these states, like here in my state, North Carolina, the lieutenant governor, Mark Robinson, he's a Trump Republican, and he is absolutely batshit nuts. And Josh Stein is beating him by, I don't even remember the last time I saw. He's beating him by like 8 or 9 points or something like that. And North Carolina is supposed to be a swing state. And then you also look at some of these other states where you're seeing, Senate races. I believe it's Ruben Gallego is running against Carrie Lake out in Arizona, and he's blown her out of the water. So, like, there's not a scenario in which the Democratic senator is beating a Trump acolyte like Carrie Lake by that much, and Kamala Harris doesn't end up winning that state. I just don't see it. I know that Arizona is supposed to be a swing state. I just don't see how there's that much of a discrepancy in what the polling is for the Democratic candidate for Senate versus what the polling would look like for president. And also, if we look backwards in this election cycle, Trump has been way, way underperforming the polls by like at least 6 points. And so I would not be surprised if Kamala Harris won Arizona because of what's happening with one of the races there. I would not be surprised, although it would be a stretch, if Kamala Harris won North Carolina. Because here we're technically a swing state. It's gone mostly Republican. The legislature here is completely controlled by Republicans. We're heavily gerrymandered. But as of right now, it just looks like the numbers just keep getting better and better for Kamala Harris and keep getting worse and worse for Donald Trump. So, guys, really appreciate you checking it out. Remember, like and subscribe to the videos. Helps me out massively. Helps get the channel going. Gets it to more people. We're trying to hit 100 subs before the election. I got a little over 2 months to be able to do it. And I greatly appreciate your support. It's completely free and it means the world to me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.